Welcome to Philly.
Here last year, 3 million people in the Eagles parade. Go Birds!
Go Birds! Go Birds!
I mean, as cheesy as it is, I would probably say Dilly Dilly sums it up pretty well, because Philly is just a really laid back place.
And do you know what? He's not wrong. For the East Coast, Philadelphia is pretty laid back, even though that occasionally gives way to a particular type of crazy. But Philly doesn't have the puritanical roots like Boston does, so it's not quite so uptight. It's not as big or as glamorous as New York, so it doesn't have nearly the baggage that comes with that. It's just straight up not as violent as Baltimore. And it's pretty well given up the power struggle that is omnipresent in a place like DC. All this, and it's not exactly like you're giving up any opportunities being Philly. Not to mention that if you do need to get to any of those cities, they're only a few hours away. New York's 3 hours, DC's 3 hours, Baltimore's 2, Boston is 6, but you might just want to fly there. Oh, and the beaches on the shore are less than 2 hours. One of my favorite parts of Philly, even though it's typical in most big cities, anytime you walk outside, there's always a lot going on. People are just always doing stuff. So people have more ideas, they have more wild stories to tell. Life just feels more interesting. Immediate history in Philadelphia gave birth to one of the most profound social experiments in human history, i.e. the United States, to make the atmosphere in the city feel like just about anything is possible. It's Mark. Love. Love Philadelphia. Love Philadelphia.
When I came first time in Philly, I was like stuck in middle of something and my phone got hanged, and someone, literally a stranger, came and helped me, and he said Philly is a city of brotherlyhood, and I was like wow, and he checked in his maps and he dropped me to my home and he said have a good day.
Yes.
Beautiful city, lots of culture, and a lot of love.
Amazing craft beer.
Yeah, the brewery scene here is amazing.
Yep.
You guys,
What is your
What is
We didn't have beer yet, but
just anything.
breakfast was nice.
We were saying
Cool.
the people.
Breakfast was nice.
There we go.
A little bit dirty. I mean, like it's still
Cozy.
nice.
In New York.
Nice people. Than New York, yeah.
Ah, that's
Green.
greener.
Greener, yeah. More organized.
Actually,
Organized.
greener than Boston as well.
Yeah,
greener than everywhere we have been.
Yeah.
Great city to live in. You walk everywhere.
beautiful. A lot of history.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of it.
Greatest city in all the world, founded by a great man, William Penn.
The written history of Philadelphia begins on October 27th, 1682. The city was founded by William Penn in the English Crown province of Pennsylvania, right in between the Delaware and Schuylkill rivers. Philadelphia quickly grew into an important colonial city, and during the American Revolution was a site the First and Second Continental Congresses. So basically it's the center of government, i.e. the capital. And it officially becomes temporary capital after the American Revolution. But then at the beginning of the 19th century, both governments leave Philadelphia. The city remains in the cultural and financial center of the country. So first it was the capital, then after the government leaves, it becomes the financial center, so it's more like New York. And then it also becomes one of the first major industrial centers in the U.S., the largest being textiles.
Woohoo! Textiles.
I believe Benjamin Franklin used some of the Philadelphia entities to finance land on both sides of the Atlantic right before the Revolutionary War. So he was well positioned financially for either a U.S. victory or a British victory. Now that is a smart American, to say nothing of his patry.
Would you give up your patriotism for a cheesesteak?
Previously unknown kitchen, basement, and underground passageway connecting this basement to the one under the main house. In these spaces, enslaved Africans and free and indentured servants carried out many of their domestic chores out of sight of the Washington family, guests, and official visitors to the house.
So today, Philly still feels like a prominent city, even though it never was not a prominent city in the sort of history of America. Pre-Revolution, it is the site of the American Continental Congresses. So it is the primary site for the birth of America. So even now, as it's probably still the fourth best city on the East Coast, and that's not even including Miami, because then once you start comparing Philly to Miami, Miami's in the south. But really the only city it's better than is Baltimore. But to walk around, and I'm from Philly, so I can say that, but to walk around, it's an awesome city. It's bigger than you expect.
Many people still don't realize that it's typically considered the sixth largest city in the U.S., with an immediate population of about 1.5 million.
So when you're in Philly, Center City, Old City, Penn's Landing are some of the nicest neighborhoods on the East Coast. So when you're in Philly, you don't necessarily get the impression that it cares what anybody else thinks about it. Not to mention the homes are pretty cool. Some of the historical homes. You might assume because it's such a large city, but there's obviously no shortage of options for entertainment. I think JJ Redick gets $30 million a year on defense. No.
What you mean by the sentence?
The only thing that sets Philly apart from, say, New York is just how cheap it is. You can get drunk in one of Philly's 6-pack bars for $15. Less than $15. And I don't mean a sketchy bar. I mean, most neighborhoods have several bars that you can do that in. But honestly, I don't advocate getting drunk. It's kind of stupid. And it hurts your head in the morning. This isn't a country music song. The point stands that you can do anything else you can do anywhere else as far as entertainment is concerned. It's just cheaper here. A lot of the historical sites or museums are either free or have days of the week in which they're free. As far as outdoor activities go, you can find it, but sometimes you have to go to Vermont, like skiing. Downside though, if you love skiing, say, you want to move to Denver, Denver's too small. You miss a lot of the culture Philly brings with its size and the general access to the East Coast. Like, well, no wonder they get upset when too many people from Texas move there
because it feels like there are a lot of people from Texas there. So why not have the same metropolitan feel as New York, have cooler historical artifacts, and be cheaper? Also, the suburbs are cooler than...
Yeah, clean up the town. You can't talk about Philly without talking about the Kensington drug markets. So far, their approach to cleaning it up is just to sweep it away. They break it up. Which is easy to be cynical about
because you're more moving the problem than solving the problem. But you're solving the problem in that there's no longer open-air drug markets and homeless cities in the middle of your public streets.
Sure. There we go. So the guy in the orange over here can hardly stand up. Well, it's not obnoxious. So I would say they are for sure cleared out.
More the first very small step in a very long journey. And at least for now, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt because Philly has cleaned up its act in a big way in the last 20 years. Which is why it would be a great place to invest in or visit. Honestly, Philly's one of the best cities in the country right now. Nobody even knows it yet.